responsible. This statement should not be made for you to go and blame the courts for your failure.
Let's talk about Simeon Freeman for Liberia's president. Will you be on the ballot? Will you be on the ballot?
Definitely, God's willing. Definitely.
When are you picking a running mate?
Tomorrow is the NPC convention.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah. And I would be announcing our running mate at the convention.
Where?
It's at Painesville Baptist, I think around Baptist Seminary.
Oh, okay. So all is set for your running mate tomorrow.
Right.
A woman?
I don't know. The party and I will consult on that.
You haven't selected?
Well, the decision will be made.
Will be made or will be made known?
But the decision will be made known to the public.
I know the president already.
Oh, that's good. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. So, Elola, you one of those dictating that will be.
Do I call the name?
Please go ahead. So, Elola, you one of those saying that the election will be chaotic. So, you one of the soothsayers and prophets.
No, I was just quoting people.
So, you are the guy that used to tell Bronsky that he will be president.
No, I don't think so. Except that I've got a lot of hint about who your running mate will be.
Oh, that would be very nice.
That's a good pick.
Okay.
It will be a good pick.
Good.
If you stick to what I'm hearing,
Okay.
it's a good pick.
Good.
You think you will stick to it?
I don't know because you say you know now.
Why do you want to be president of Liberia?
Thank you. You know, I have some powerful friends around the world who are business people. Some of them are politicians. They say you do very well in the private sector. You do business in other countries. You're doing well in your country. Why the presidency? Look, the presidency is not just a political gesture. And I think the people of Liberia learned that from the last election. 2017, there was this whole George, we are phenomenal, George, we are phenomenal, George, we are phenomenal. But before 2017, that was 2005, 2011, that was a George, we are phenomenal. And I like George, we are interview he had the other day where he said, look, I am not a politician. I'm doing it for these people. But George Weah is not an accountant. He's not an economist. He's not an agriculturist. He's not a scientist. Who is he? He's only a footballer. You don't need football for national.
I think he has a master's in business administration.
Well,
I could be wrong.
Let's see the eloquence. You know, these online schools, nobody can do your paper. But let's see the capacity in terms of the delivery output. So the truth is, the Liberian people made a monumental mistake and they live in it today. Having said that, why do I want to be president? You know, a lot of people don't know. I grew up in a home in which I grew up with my mother, just my mother, in Bassa. And it's one of those things, she's a third grade dropout, so she didn't have the skills to be employed. You know what that means? Extreme difficulty. It means eating once a day. It means not eating the way you should, not going to some of the best schools you want to go to. Those were very difficult times, but I overcame all of that. It also meant living in the ghetto, surviving that. You know, we've gone through a lot, and I see that so much can happen with our country. I've seen the mistakes that have been made, and I'm saying to myself, a lot can happen with our country. What's up at the area of industrialization? You notice when the last government, there was a lot of celebration of $16 billion attraction for the mining industry. And you notice those they were challenging that 16 billion. We're also challenging that it's going to have a trickle-down effect because when all of the analysis made, you would have created at least 50,000 jobs over the 50,000 jobs were supposed to be created over the next couple of years. I think 9,000 per year. But that would have created a serious gap in terms of the 50,000 jobs that's supposed to have been created annually. And that was as far back as 2014. Right now, the job table is about 60 to 70,000 jobs per year that's supposed to be created. And I'm sitting down and I'm saying, how do we solve these problems? You speak to people who want to be president, and they have no clue. They have absolutely no clue, no real appreciation of the challenges and the transformation. Look at our housing deficit. People have absolutely no clue. And I'm saying, okay, look, this creates an opportunity for people like us that are technocrats to come to the table to transform our country. And that's why you've heard me say Liberia does not have a poverty problem. On one of my shows, I did an analysis. As far back as 1950, 1960, the gap between Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia and Ghana in terms of GDP sizes. Today, while we're hovering below 4 billion, Ghana is 70 something billion, Cote d'Ivoire 60 something billion dollars in terms of GDP. We're nowhere near those countries. At that time, we were even bigger than Singapore. Today, Singapore is almost $400 billion. We're nowhere near that. So I'm saying, how do we transform our country? The reality is the reason why I'm not interested in mining, because mining requires knowledge. That's why you see you have all these problems with the different actors across the country. Because mining requires knowledge, right? So what do you have? You have a situation where, one, I want to look at agriculture as a basis for transforming our country. Look, let's take a place like Bond County. What are the real challenges in the sector? One, you have an issue of land clearing. So the farmers don't really have the resources. So what they do, they pull together, that's what we call communal farming. They pull together to clear my land. And then once my land is cleared this time around, then next time your land is cleared. And sometimes they do that. Some people are not beneficiaries during this season until the rainy season comes up. So what we then saying is we want to set up companies and it will be funded by government but through the private sector. So that's what we call the public private sector engagement. So the Central Bank of Liberia, let's say I want to put $100 million into farming in year one or into agriculture. That money from the government will be given to the central bank. The central bank will loan that money to the commercial banks. The commercial bank will have straight instruction for onward lending to specific beneficiaries. So we want to set up 30 companies across this country, two per county, upper bound, lower bound politics, upper Basel, lower Basel politics. You don't want to get involved. So you place two companies. One company, and one model we're going to be using, the Firestone model. Go and clear the land for farmers, give them ceilings, buy the yields back from them. So it means as a farmer, all you have to do, go and farm. And that changes the entire structure. So imagine a woman that sells cassava. She has to go to buy cassava from Kidman. She has to go to buy cassava from Bong. She has to go to buy cassava from Bummy. What she will now do is she goes straight to one of those companies. If she wants 5,000 bags of cassava, she can take it. I was telling you a story once why we didn't do the rice program. Remember once you were in Banga, wanted to do rice. The African Development Bank was willing to fund that, $20 million. I back out of the program in the end. What we found out? We found out that if you set up, we wanted to set it up in Bond County. If you set up in Bond County, the quantity of rice grower in Bond County was not sufficient for the sizing of our machine that will make it economically viable. We found out that we have to now be a transport company. You have to go to Monserrato, around Turi, Kakata, Magibi, collect rice. You have to go to Sino. You have to go to Grand Jide. And the largest rice growing region in Liberia is the southeastern region. You have to go there and collect rice. Then you have to deal with the rural issues. It creates a whole new bottleneck of you opening a transportation company as compared to focusing on rice production. So what we decided to do was to back off. So that's why as president, we want to create a structure where those 30 companies will be the fulcrum of the economy. One of those companies, each of those companies will be hoarder for rice, they will have pepper, cassava, you just name it, everything corn. If you want it, we supply you. So the factories that will be created will then be supplied by those companies who are then connected to the farmers. So now what we've done with the farmers, we've given them wealth. They don't have to come to do anything else but just to stay on the farm and plant. Now they have money in the pocket if they want to buy generator, or they want to build concrete building, or they want to change the standard of living. Now the poorest of the poor people, the farmers, now become the richest of the people, because now we have a purchasing program. That's the first step in terms of economic transformation for this country. But what that program will do more besides is, Mr. Jackson, you leave from here, you go to other places, you see cities Only Liberia, only Monrovia. You go Bikini, nothing really happened. Ganta, nothing really happened. As a matter of fact, you leave from Banga after 5 years, they tie your face and pull you by you and say, oh, but in Banga Broad Street, yeah? Nothing has really changed. The truth is, these are the things leading to urban migration. That whole Clarendon, Doe community, those are all results of urban migration. Liberia is the only country in Africa where about 32% of our population live in Monrovia. All of the other African countries hover between 15 to 18%. And this is serious. So we need to set up a de-urbanization program. So when you start up with this program, you put the factories in Bon County, put the factories in Nimba, put the factories in Grand Jida, put the factories in Campley. What will happen? Individuals from those regions will have no reason coming to Monrovia. Individuals in Monrovia will go back because I can live better in Campley and I can rent a whole house as compared to living in one room with three other people, and in the night we have to open the window, we combating mosquito, we combating heat. Look, those days when I was small, in the night we used to, they had the prickly heat powder. We used to rub the table on and then you put the powder all over you just because of the heat. Tight, tight. Those kinds of lives people are living. I remember all those things. But in every respect, if you start to do that, then you take this population that everybody is coming. The other day I went to Johnsonville, Dixville. Oh, I was surprised. There's a whole life going on over there. That place is so populated in traffic. I was like, what? People are just coming to Monrovia, coming, and they're not going back. So I'm of the opinion, once you do this and you start the industrial process, people will go back, and that will be the first step in trying to create an equilibrium. The second policy for me, housing. Every serious country in the world where there have been a housing kick-off have been two reasons. One, the government itself intervened. Two, the government had a policy for it. Let me give you Kenya. Do you know in Kenya, you can buy a house with a 30 years mortgage? You can go a house for $20,000, 30,000, or an apartment for $50,000. You can actually pay probably 10,000 or 5,000, and the rest of that 45,000 will be paid over the next 30 years. You will be paid to your bank because your bank will pay the property developer 100%, and now you owe your bank, so that takes government off. But because of that kind of program, so it's helped